This is the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. What I wanted to go through a little bit today is why we're doing this channel and explaining a little bit more about the Men of High Value channel, Girls of High Value channel, and also why this is here. Why am I doing this? Okay, I have a belief that if people apply the truth in this beautifully designed system that we call the world, or that we call the universe, if we apply the truth, then we will fulfill our potential, and fulfilling that potential will give us joy and happiness. My definition for truth is that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. So if we apply the things that actually work, then we will be happy long term. We will have joy long term, okay? So sustainability in a sense. It's not about pleasure right now and then not at all. And then pleasure right now and then not at all. It's about experiencing life to the fullest, where we are truly fulfilling our potential and experiencing what life was designed to be. We exist so that we might have joy. That's why we're here on this planet. And the greatest joy that we ever get is through the relationships we have with other people. The quality of your life will determine the quality of your relationships determines the quality of your life. So it's all about having amazing relationships. And this is where we're lacking in today's world. The only reason why we're lacking in today's world is because we do not understand each other. We don't understand the man, right? In your case, even though the man is quite simple to understand, in our opinion. And we don't understand the woman. Very often, for you guys as well, it's difficult to understand why all of this is happening with you. But there's, like I say, there's a science to all of this. It's actually, once you understand it, everything makes sense. So that's what I wanted to share. So I want to use this channel, the Girls of High Value channel, to help women fulfill their true feminine potential. And the Men of High Value channel, I want them to fulfill their true masculine potential. So let's briefly go through those definitions. Masculinity is taking upon oneself responsibility and fulfilling that responsibility and being emotionally stable no matter what. Have emotional control over oneself. Have financial control in one's life. Have joy and happiness in their relationships. That's masculinity. His ability to retain relationships. If he doesn't have the ability to retain a woman in his life, he's not masculine. Okay, so if you can think of all the positive qualities in a man, they're masculine qualities. When he's feminine, he's not going to be able to apply the principles of truth consistently because his emotions are going to be up and down just like a woman's. You want a guy who can apply the principles of truth consistently over a long period of time while being emotionally stable. Masculinity. Femininity is relieving oneself of burden, not taking upon oneself burden and responsibility, but simply being in the now of allowing and letting go and submitting to how things are, and submitting to the leadership of a man, because you know you can trust him. Femininity is being in your body instead of being in your head. Femininity is letting go of problems because you will seek out to solve those problems naturally and automatically. If you try to hold on to something, it's going to create havoc on your system, on your mental stability, and also your health in general. Femininity is being able to let go. But it's so hard in today's world. But if you're going to fulfill your true feminine potential, we have to explore how that's possible. How we can help you to manage to not have to think so much. The more you think as a feminine woman, the less you will feel. The more you think, the less you will feel. You inherently know this. However, there's so many problems in today's world that makes you need to think. Because there's problems. There's world problems, there's your personal problems, there's family problems, everyone's got problems. But wouldn't it be fantastic if at least the biggest aspect of life that you're focused on, your finances and survival, if you could find a man, or if you could have a man that took care of that, so that you didn't have to. That would mean that you would lose your independence. That's not a bad thing. That's a fantastic thing, as long as the man, the right guy, helps you to trust him. And he's actually financially responsible. So, my belief is that when a man fulfills his responsibility as a masculine man and as the head of the household, the woman is allowed to relax because she knows his responsibilities are being fulfilled. If those responsibilities, at least the financial responsibilities, are taken care of, and he's protecting and providing and providing a great environment for the woman and the kids to thrive, then that woman can relax and be able to focus on their relationships and their health instead, and on their talents, and on sharing those talents, and on joy, and on happiness, and on learning the things that she desires to learn. Not about stocks and saving and all that stuff. Don't think about that. Femininity is being able to be allowed to only focus on relationships and health, because that's what's going to make you happy in the long term. That's where you're going to fulfill your potential. Okay, so if we know this, what is it that constitutes a man of high value? We know now he needs to be masculine. And if he's truly masculine, he will be trusted. He will be trustworthy. That is what makes him high value. Because there's so few of those guys in this world. How many guys could you truly, truly trust? That you know he's going to come through every single time. Where you know that you can believe in him as much as someone would believe in God. Because he's trustworthy. That's what makes him high value. So what do I teach those guys on that channel? What I teach them is there's 4 stages of leadership. First, you lead yourself, right? He needs to learn how to trust himself. He needs to learn to control himself. He needs to learn to be emotionally stable, and he needs to learn how to take away the distractions of the world. We focus on avoiding porn because it's a huge problem for boys growing up as teenagers these days and having free access to porn. This is going to be a worse problem in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, because kids are growing up with laptops and iPads and phones that gives them easy access to porn. I didn't have that, and yet I was like, do you understand? That was 20 years ago. And I'm so glad I didn't have access to porn, but things are different in today's world. And we've got to help men to avoid that and to avoid masturbation. Because that's how they choose how to lead themselves. We start with that. That's number one. Lead yourself first. And then number two is that we teach them how to lead a team. We don't talk about them getting girlfriends. We don't talk about them finding a wife or finding a girl or getting married or getting hitched and all that stuff. No. Step number two is leading a team, starting a business. A man of high value will not be happy only having a job. Job stands for just over broke. He cannot give you safety and security if he only has a job, because then he's at the mercy of an employer. He can fire him at any point in time, or the company can run out of money and go bankrupt, and then he loses his job. How does that provide you with safety and security and trust? It doesn't. He's got to learn how to sell. He's got to learn how to build a business, and he's got to do that on the side of his full-time job in order for him to provide for himself, have a business, and then get to the point where he's got enough money so that he can quit his job and go full-time in his business and 10x, 100x, 1000x his income. When he does that, you don't have to think about finances. Are there many guys out there that do this? Yeah, actually. But how do you know that they're trustworthy? You don't unless they've actually gone through my training program. Okay, eventually I'll probably certify guys as this guy's a man of high value. Make your selection, right? That's what we want to get to. Number three is to lead women. That's the next step. Once they've actually learned how to lead a team and gotten to a certain level financially, they get the certification where they now basically can go out and find the woman of their choice. Once they find a woman of their choice, they court her. They ask for permission from the father, if there is a father, and then they court the woman without sexual involvement to find out if this could be the right fit. Once they find out it's the right fit, and most probably that's going to go very, very quickly, you've got now a trustworthy man and a woman, and they together can now do what number 4 is on the Men of High Value channel, which is lead kids. Create a beautiful, amazing next generation. That's what we're creating with these men of high value. We're taking one step at a time. A lot of them have problems. But what's beautiful is there's always a solution, and basically what needs to change in them is they need to change their thinking, they need to change how they feel, they need to become emotionally stable. Over time, they're going to be consistent in applying the correct principles, applying the truth, and that is going to create exponential growth curve for them, which will allow them to bring you along, the girls of high value, towards the top, enjoying happiness in this life with families. What's beautiful about the system in this world, what we have right here, is that both men and women truly desire depth in their long-term relationships, and they desire long-term relationships. If they had the choice, if they knew how women worked, and if they knew how to handle the women, and if they could, everyone would want a long-term committed relationship. But very often it's because they don't know how things work and it's difficult, they end up not making it work. So they end up having short-term casual relationships instead, and those, they never give you the opportunity of creating exponential growth in happiness and joy together, okay? So now you understand what we're creating with the men of high value, and you understand my definition. And you want one of those guys. Okay, so let's look at it from the other point. What is a girl of high value? A girl of high value is someone that, yes, she has a self-esteem, just like he has a self-esteem, but that's not really what matters. What matters is how others esteem you. Like very often we focus on men have to have confidence and they need to have self-esteem. What's more important than that is how others esteem them, how confident others are in them, how much they're trusted, how much other people trust in them. That's how we know that their confidence is not bullshit. Right? Because if they only got self-confidence and self-esteem, but no one trusts them, no one respects them, no one esteems them highly, then they're not men of high value. If they're capable of bringing joy and happiness to thousands of people, you can know that this guy is trusted. It's the same way with women. It is not your self-esteem or your self-confidence that matters. It's how much confidence and esteem other people have for you. And I can promise you that your esteem as a woman does not come from which job you have, or from how much money you have, or from how capable and skilled you are to do things in the world. Don't be masculine, right? So obviously, it's not your fault for being masculine. That's just is burden that that's been placed upon you, and you're trying to do your best with what you know how. However, your job is to look at your life and see why are you burdened, and see if you can unburden yourself in preparation for these men of high value. The fact of the matter is that once these guys are high value, they're not just going to accept any girl to be with them. They're going to have the opportunity of choosing from the top ranks when it comes to women. So if you're a girl on my channel and you're single and you desire one of those guys who are men of high value, who are going to basically have 1,000x income and who are trustworthy and who you know will stick to you no matter what, you better be good, right? So how is it that you are esteemed highly? If you keep your notch count down, what is notch count? Is how many sexual partners you have. If you remain a virgin, you are automatically esteemed highly in the eyes of a man of high value. If you have very, very low sexual partner count, you are esteemed highly in a man of high value, because most women don't. Right? If you are healthy, if you are fit, if you are fertile, if you are young, between the ages of 18 to 22 preferably, you are high value. Does that mean that those who are older than that are not high value? Not at all. Grant Cardone was 41 when he married his wife, Elena, who was 26. Okay, but the longer it goes, unfortunately, your sexual market value goes down. There are many things that you can do in order to unburden yourself. Just think about it this way. The more unburdened you are as a woman, the higher value you have to a man of high value. The more burden and responsibility he takes upon himself and fulfills, the higher value he has as a man. And it's the opposite with you. As a girl of high value, the more burden, the more responsibilities, the more load you have on yourself, the lower value you will be in the eyes of a high value man. Remember that when you choose your career. Remember that when you get into debt. Remember that when you get more and more sexual partners. You want the best man possible. And the men of high value, they're going to have a high standard. And what I want to do with this channel, the Girls of High Value channel, is to help you guys understand yourselves, understand men, understand relationships, understand life, and understand joy and happiness, and how to attain that through your feminine potential. Because if you can get to that point, amazing things are going to happen. I'm going to close it there. My name is Joseph Darling. This is the Girls of High Value channel. I'll see you again tomorrow.